All right, folks, so let's start with our waterfall over here. Now, I am not going to spend any time coloring the background features. If you have some time at the end of class today, you are more than welcome to do that, but I am not going to do that. We're just going to talk about the water running today, and then you're going to have some time to experiment with objects in the background. Like maybe you want to draw some trees like we practiced in class yesterday. But basically for this, what I'm going to need my white, my gray, and my 2 blues. Now, we've learned, so let me zoom in a little bit. We've learned so far that we need to start with our darker value. So here's my water crashing down the side of this hill. I'm going to kind of start with my dark blue and just kind of nice and light. Now, we know the water's running down, so I'm not going to use the scribbling technique. We're going to use a lot of vertical lines for this. And you can just kind of do some light pressure and just kind of put some vertical lines with our dark blue in this shape right here. Don't go crazy with it, leave a lot of spaces because the goal is shooting for, a mix of different colors, different values. And you're welcome to pause this as many times as you'd like. Now, before I switch to my light blue, so remember, we typically go from dark to light. Now, I'm actually going to use my gray next. Because gray and white are great colors for showing flowing water, especially water that's moving fast. So I'll take my gray, and I'll just kind of do the same thing. Just kind of start putting just a little bit of gray in places, kind of like in the gaps. Don't worry about making it perfect. And then after you put a little bit of gray, this is where I'm going to switch to my light blue. And, always make sure to test your color on your border to see if you like it. And I'm going to go a little crazy now. I'm going to start going up and down without picking my pastel up. And I'm pushing a little bit harder than normal, but I'm not trying to blend it like crazy just yet. Add a little more pressure in there. And it's going to start to look like water flowing. Now, if I zoom in on this, right now it's not okay. I can still see a lot of, solid lines, which is what I don't want to see. And I can also see a lot of the white paper showing through. So definitely take your time and work nice and slow, but add a little bit of pressure now. And you see how that starts to blend really nicely? Like, look at this line right here. If I take this light blue over it and actually put some pressure into it, you'll start to blend that in. And it's going to look more natural. And you can pause this and rewind it as many times as you need to. And when you get to the top, don't worry about, changing direction to kind of get that all colored in. So there we go. Now, you can always add more blue back in, more dark blue. You could always add more gray if you want, just a little bit. But I'm going to primarily use that light blue to kind of, get that blended effect. That looks pretty nice. Now, where the waterfall is crashing, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to use more white. So now, instead of I'm going to start with my dark blue, And in this little area here, I'm just going to put, look at this, just a little bit of marks, a little bit of dark blue, not a ton. And notice how I'm kind of doing the scribbling technique again. Now, switch to my gray, do a little gray. And I'm making marks that look like this, little like letter C's, or I don't really know how else you would describe them. But just a little bit of gray, kind of silver in there. Switch to my light blue, put a little bit of light blue in there the same way. Because the waterfall's crashing, we want to show that it's crashing down. Now, I've used 3 colors in there so far. Now I'm going to switch to my white. because we want this to look lighter than this because there's a lot of water crashing in here. So I'm going to use my white and I'm going to use the circular motion to blend all this together like this. Don't be afraid to apply some actual pressure to it. There we go, and that starts to look like there's actual water crashing down. And now, for the water down here, I'd probably want to use more dark blue and light blue than white. And kind of, draw my water kind of like going away. See how I'm using my dark blue to kind of put some value in there. Switch to my light blue. Because that's going to show the water that has landed already. And there we go. And then I can use my gray or my blue if I want to kind of like, blend that together a little bit better, obviously. But it's basically, going from dark blue to gray to light blue to white. And then using our white primarily where the waterfall is crashing down. Now for the waterfall one, you guys are welcome to experiment with different greens. Maybe you want to use like this kind of like a blue-green color to make a very mossy ridge. If you want to, practice your mountain range up here a little bit like we did in class on Tuesday, you're welcome to do that. Or Wednesday, whenever we did that, it's totally fine. Pause the video if you need to. Rewind it if you need to. But do your best with your waterfall demo. And the last video we'll talk about a river over here on this side.